Flying the DJI Mini 4 Pro over water can capture some fantastic photos and videos, but it also comes with many challenges and things can go wrong really fast. So follow these tips now so you don't lose your drone over water. So the DJI Mini 4 Pro really is capable of capturing some fantastic photos and videos. You see, most drone operators, especially new beginners, will only fly their drone over land, too afraid to actually fly it over water because of these risks. Or you might have seen a YouTube video of some guy like chasing a cruise ship with their drone, not getting it back, sinking into the sea, thinking, I'm never flying my drone over water. But you really should do. You can capture some fantastic photos and videos. And I've actually been flying my drones over water for years now, and I've only actually lost one drone, and that wasn't even my fault. This is going to be relating to the DJI Mini 4 Pro, but any of the DJI drones, like new ones, it's going to be all pretty similar. What I won't advise is if you have like another drone, like some like Holystone drone or something like that on Amazon, yeah, don't fly that over water. Now, the first thing you need to do is actually trust the actual technology and the safety features on these drones. If things go wrong, normally it's because of you. Right there. So first thing, trust the tech and understand how to use return to home. Now the return to home on these drones is fantastic now, so if the signal was to cut out, it will automatically fly back to its home point. But you can also activate that manually as well, just by either pressing down on the controller on the H button or on the actual application as well. So just get your drone first of all and fly it over water, and then just have it hovering in place. And then actually just hold down the home button and the drone will automatically fly back to you. Once you're actually comfortable in how to use return to home and actually understanding that this drone isn't just going to completely fall out the sky into that water, you'll feel a lot more confident. Now, where people go wrong is flying their drones far too far out over the sea or the water. But if you're just trying to get to like an island or maybe a lighthouse or something where you actually need to cross that water to get that photo or video, make sure you're doing that first when you've got a full 100% battery. So you'll notice a lot of my drone shots when they're over water, they're all pretty close by. They're not like miles out. They're all within like 500 meters of where I am. Then all the shots which are closer to land, I'll do them last when my battery is more depleted. Don't be like getting shots near you and getting some like quick shots and then go, oh, actually, I want to fly to that lighthouse over there when you've only got like 50% battery left. That's when things can go wrong. You need to do it the correct way around. Now, one of the most important tips, what you need to take away from this video, is understanding the limitations of the DJI Mini 4 Pro and understanding the weather and especially the wind. So this drone is okay in the wind, but it's also not great either. So you need to actually be using a weather app and actually checking it all the time before flying over water. So I use UAV Forecast. It's completely free, it's not sponsored. Now what this will do is this will actually show you a couple of key points. The first one is to do with the wind speed. So if it's like over 25 miles per hour, I really wouldn't bother flying the Mini 4 Pro. And the most important one is it actually shows you the wind direction. So you want to actually have your drone flying into the wind. So make sure whenever you set off, you actually go onto like UAV Forecast and you can have a look on the app. And as you change direction, it will also show you the compass as well and showing you that wind direction. So then you're setting off flying into the wind. So you've got a headwind to start with. So then you have a tailwind coming back helping you. That's really important. I would say the biggest tip to take away out of this whole video. Now, as tempting as this is, it's really important not to actually fly your drone too low. You see, on the bottom of the drone, it has landing sensors. Now, over water, where it's quite reflective, could be shiny, this is actually going to play a bit of havoc on this drone, and it actually might be saying it's higher up than it actually is. So I would say don't be flying your drone any less than 10 meters. Any less than that, this is where problems can arise, and you might actually have that drone going into that water. What you can do on the Mini 4 Pro, you can actually use zoom. Now the zoom on here is a digital zoom, but I find the 2x crop on here, so if you just actually zoom in, or you can actually press it on the actual controller, this will give that effect that your drone is actually a lot lower than it is without risking your drone being far too low. This video is sponsored by Luminar Neo, and it's a photo editing app I've been using now for a number of years. Editing your photos or your drone photos, it really is so much fun, but it does take a lot of time and practice to actually master how to do this. Now, Luminar Neo is different. You can still edit that traditional way, or you can use their AI sliders for really fast results. And it is so good, that's why I'm using it all the time. You can drastically change the look of a photo, add the right amount of contrast and pop. You can replace this sky instantly without the need for any knowledge or masking. It's all done literally on sliders that you drag up and down. It's super straightforward. I highly recommend this application for photo editing. It's available on Mac, Windows, iPad and iPhone, but it's also a huge Black Friday sale on right now until December, which gives you 84% off for new customers. You can get a lifetime license for just $99, but I've also got a special code DM Pro that's going to give you 20% off as well. I highly recommend this. Go and check it out. It's all going to be linked at the top of the description. Now, before you even take your drone off, when the drone's on the ground, make sure you've actually changed a couple of really important settings. So the first one's in relation to that return to home altitude, like we said at the first point, but it's only going to be effective if you've set that height correctly. So go to your settings, go to safety and scroll down to return to home altitude. Now, you may have changed that on your last flight to something like really low, and in which case that is not going to be good for flying it over water. Let's just say you're over a lake, you might be coming back, there might be a little island on that lake with trees. If it does disconnect, you want to make sure that that drone's going to rise up and actually be able to clear any trees or obstacles. If it's over like the sea, it could have to clear a bridge. So I would actually select my return to home altitude to be about 120 meters when over water, 400 feet. And the next point, this is really important as well. So under settings, on safety, go right to the very bottom and you'll see advanced safety settings. So you have here, you have what happens if that drone was to disconnect. So these three options here are going to dictate what this drone will do if it actually loses signal. Is that drone going to just return to you? Is the drone going to just land, which you really don't want to use, or is that drone just going to hover in place? So most of the time you want that drone to return to home to you. So let's just say the first example, you're actually on a promenade, you've got the sea in front of you and you fly your drone off over that sea to get some photos and videos. You're going to be staying in a pretty static spot and your return to home is going to be where you are and you're not going to be really changing at all. In that situation, if that drone was to disconnect for any reason, it's going to come back to you, it's going to fly over that sea and come back to that promenade and land. Absolutely fantastic. The next one, and this is where a lot of people go wrong, and I have done this a few times when I first started flying drones. Let's just say you're actually on a lake and you might be on a paddleboard, you could be on a speedboat, you could be on a ferry, whatever, like it's moving. Okay, so you take your drone off and then you actually want to get the drone to capture you while you're on a little speedboat like this shot here. Now, if that drone was to disconnect, I don't want it to actually return to where I started from because my movement is changing all the time. I'm actually driving this speedboat. I don't want it to return back and just land in the lake. That would be an absolute disaster. So in that situation, if that drone was to actually disconnect signal, I want it to actually just hover in place. I could just turn the speedboat around, drive to it, and then I could actually regain signal and land it myself. It's a really important setting. Make sure you're setting this correctly when flying over water. And if you're enjoying this video, if you could do me a favor and hit that like button, it really does help out get videos like this to more people, and subscribe because I've got so many videos coming really soon. It'd be highly appreciated. Let's get to the next point. Now, the final one relating to home points, you need to make sure you actually have one. So get your drone and take it off, and before you go off and fly, just let it hover in place for about 15-20 seconds. At that point, you'll have about 17 or 18 satellites locked, and you'll also have a fixed home point. It'll tell you on the screen, and you'll also hear it as well. At that point then, if your drone was to disconnect, you know you've got 100% GPS lock and a home point has been selected. If you don't do that, you just take your drone off, you get it into sports mode and you go flying. You could be like, 400 feet over water, 120 meters over water before your home point has even been selected. In which case then, say something goes wrong, the drone is then going to return to a home point which could be over water. You really need to be patient. What takes 20 seconds to get a home point, and then you know you just got that peace of mind. Now, I know this is really tempting, but don't ignore that battery warning. I know sometimes you get like an early warning, but with the Mini 4 Pro, the battery on here can deplete pretty fast. And over water, this is not something where you want like the drone to actually not be able to make it back to you. So when you hear or see low battery warning, don't be tempted to press the C1 button or click cancel and just go, I really need to get this shot. I really need to get it. Because how are you going to get that drone if it crashes or it lands in the water? You're not. So I would say this is the only time where I'm really focused on that battery level. I'm looking at it a lot. I'm making sure I've got enough battery left to make sure it can get back to me. So don't be tempted to actually press cancel, because that is where you're going to lose your drone. And how many videos have you seen where somebody's got their drone and they've actually took it off from a boat, it's took off and it's crashed and it's just landed instantly in the water? So a few ways to avoid this. First of all, just taking that drone off, make sure you're not actually taking this off on the sand. As soon as it actually takes off, all the sand is going to blow up into these motors and it could actually stop the drone instantly. Sand and these drones, awful idea. So if you're going to be taking your drone off, make sure it's like away from the water and it's like on a wall when you're taking it off. Now, if you're actually on a boat, this is where it is really risky. So you need to have some confidence when doing this. So what I will do if I'm on a lake and I'm taking this off from say a speedboat or kayak, I've done this multiple times and it's never gone in the water. I'll actually have the drone and I'll do palm takeoff and palm landings. And I won't actually use the takeoff on the controller. I'll actually just get the controller and I'll just pull down on my other hand and actually have these motors spinning. At that point then, I will see on the controller if there is any error messages, any warning messages, and if there isn't, I'll just simply push up on that left stick and the drone will then just start to fly up. But because these motors are spinning and I can feel that resistance, I know exactly where that drone is going to go when I push up, and that is straight up. And then to end it, I can just push down that left stick and the motors go off. So actually get used to just holding the drone in your hand, and with your other hand, just starting these motors, turn them on and turn them off. You can do this literally like one-handed. So don't ever get your drone, put it on the speedboat, get your controller and go, right, I'm gonna take this off, lads. You actually take it off and then it falls in the sea. Get used to doing palm takeoff and palm landings. You'll be doing it all the time then. So what about if you're flying the drone over water, you followed all these tips, but the drone, you're trying to bring it back and it's facing a lot of resistance. That wind direction has changed and all the wind is blowing towards that drone and you can see like it's struggling to get back. So what should you do? Because your battery is depleting and the first thing you're gonna do is panic. So I know it's easier said than done, but try not to panic and just follow these steps. And this is relating to whether it's over land or water. So the first thing to do instantly is put it into sports mode. This drone, even though it is small, can travel at fast speeds. Now the next thing to do is you want to lower that altitude. So lower the altitude to about 30 meters in height. And then try it now. Just push straight up on that right stick. You might find now, because it's at a lower altitude, it's not as windy, and also because that drone's in sports mode, it can come back to you. What if it doesn't though, and it's still like fighting a bit of wind and it can't really get back to you? All you have to do is just change the direction of the drone. Have it going slightly to the right hand side, slightly to the left hand side. You won't be flying straight into this headwind then. And then you'll be able to actually just get it around it and then come back to you. That will work majority of the time. I've never had an occasion where I've not been able to get one of these drones back because of strong winds. Now if it's like 50, 60 mile an hour winds, then yeah, you're absolutely goosed. But majority of the time that tactic works. Lower the altitude, put it into sports mode, and if need be, change direction and it will come back to you. So that might seem a lot, but really it isn't that bad. It's just getting this confidence and the trust in the technology. So I really do appreciate you watching this. Now I do have my own DJI Mini 4 Pro Ultimate Settings Guide cheat sheet. So I've got these in a digital format that actually gets emailed out to you. You can keep them on your phone, or you can get a physical copy. These are going to have free shipping, shipped to, and these go through all of the different settings for that Mini 4 Pro. Comes with a carabiner clip, goes onto your backpack, or you can just keep it like this in your drone bag or your pocket. Now depending when you're going to be watching this, there is a Black Friday sale on, so my website that has cheat sheets, it also has drone LUTs as well. The whole website is discounted, so I'm going to put that at the top of the description as well. So if you want to go and check anything out here, I highly appreciate it. It's the best way to support this channel. But overall, yeah, fantastic quality you can get from the DJI Mini 4 Pro or any of these new DJI drones now. I know it's quite nerve-wracking at first flying over water, but I really do hope this video helped you out. Hit that like button if it did, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye.